Hey everybody, this video I figured I would do a voiceover commentary on a Wyrmheart 21 that I ran recently, because I didn't end up doing any commentary while I was doing it, so I think this is with the same group that I did the Sailor's Abyss with, but yeah, so just starting out here, we're doing our usual opener. Main things that we want to make sure that we do here are we want to send our weapon while Wildfire is still up, because with our legendary giving us the 30% spirit, we're going to get an extra like 5 to 6% ult charge just for doing that one thing properly, which can definitely help depending on your ult timings throughout the dungeon. Another thing is that with the legendary also giving 30% crit, that actually snapshots with Fireball and Fire Frogs, so we're going to want to send Wildfire basically just before we send our Fireball and our Fire Frogs, because it'll just give them an extra 30% crit chance. Since Wildfire is off the GCD, you can see I'm basically just sending it and then instantly throwing a Fireball right afterwards into Fire Frogs every time. And I guess my last tip for that as well would be Pyromania puts Engulfing Flames on 3 targets. If you use it to put Engulf on 3 targets, and then you swap to a new target and then put your Engulfing Flames on another target manually, or you do it the other way around, like you put Engulfing Flames first, and then you swap to another target, put Pyromania, you can actually have 4 Engulfing Flames at the same time, which is really strong. It does a lot of damage. Engulfing Flames is your strongest dot. And then if you combine that with the weapon to reset Engulfing Flames cooldown, you could even have it on up to 5 at once. So you see here, like, this is sort of the same as the initial pull. You know, I have all my stuff up. Besides, like, Pyromania. Pyromania doesn't really change how you do the pull, it's just a lot of extra damage when you have it. But, you know, I had Apocalypse up, I have Frogs up, I have Wildfire, so kind of just sending Apocalypse to start out the pull, and do an Engulfing Flames cast on my primary target, which is going to be the Scholar here. The Scholar is the most dangerous, and it has a lot of health. I don't know if it has the most, I think maybe the Golem has the most, but in Wyrmheart, the Scholar is definitely the most dangerous enemy, I would say. They do spawn these orbs that kind of follow you around. But then once it dies, the orbs go away, so. We're going to spend a little bit of extra time just killing these last couple enemies, but getting the Scholar down is worth. And so anyway, as I was saying, yeah, we're going to Engulfing Flames our main target, and then we're going to do that Wildfire into Fireball and Fire Frogs, and then just start our Detonate spam. And for this next pull, we have our weapon back up, and we have our ult, and we have all of our cooldowns. So right now, I'm hoping that our tank is going to pull a lot, which he actually does end up doing here. He pulls down to the bridge. So we're able to get a pretty good pack to send our ult on here. So do everything as mentioned before. Let's send our weapon, send our ult. So I actually decided to send my weapon again here. I think... I'm not sure if that's optimal. What I could have done is... I could have saved my weapon here until the next pull. And then next pull I would have had 2 sets of cooldowns. So like, my Frogs and my Fireball are back up, and my Wildfire. But they would have been back up anyway for this pull, even if I didn't weapon for the second time. Just because of the first weapon cast from before we ulted. And so if I had saved them, I would have my weapon here, I could send my weapon here, get Fireball, Wildfire, Frogs back up, and have 2 sets of cooldowns going into this pack. So that likely would have been a better play. I got a little bit ahead of myself in the last pack, but I think either way, I mean, we're still blowing up this pack. So not a huge deal, but maybe something that I could have optimized there. So basically all of our big pulls are pretty much done for this dungeon. I think it's just this pack of 3 enemies, and then pack of 3 enemies after this. Pretty much all we have left. And I actually didn't save a kick for that, so luckily the tank got that, but... Rhyme actually ends up dying as he gets targeted by multiple mechanics at once, but it's unfortunate. We're kind of just finishing this pack off. I'm not going to resend Frogs here or anything, or like Pyromania, because I want them up for the next pack. One thing, once you do get Amethyst 6 on the gym power tree, you really want to be playing around that, because an extra 30% crit on enemies above 50% health is insanely strong. That's probably the best gym talent in the game as of now. And so you want to be sending your CDs generally when enemies are above 50% health. If you're sending them against enemies below 50% health, you're missing out on that crit, which in some cases can be better. Like if a certain boss is harder below 50% HP, like Cithril is a really good example because that boss is super difficult below 50% HP, then it's probably better to try and burn through that low health phase rather than just trying to save time by burning through the high health phase. But if you're just looking at how much time can I save on this pack, then sending your CDs when they're above 50% health is going to just increase your overall damage. Assuming that you have that gym talent. And so this boss is a little awkward. It's really just like a coordination check between, you know, everybody on in your party with interrupts. If you all are good at interrupting, won't be a problem. If you're not, then you know your tank's gonna get slapped. So, like for example, here I interrupted along with the tank, so we overlapped, which means that an Icy Death is probably going to end up going off. I think we actually got lucky here with spell queuing. So the tank got his kick back before Icy Death became a problem. But you know, even when we try to coordinate, things can still go south on this one. So this one really helps if you're in voice comms. Like, I think the tank mentioned that he was going to get kick 1 and 3, which happened to be the Frigid Mists. But the Rhyme also established that I should be kicking Frigid Mists, so we ended up overlapping there. And so for the rest of the fight, I tried to make sure that I kicked the Frigid Mists, but I think some disaster is about to strike, though. Yeah, the tank and the Rhyme both overlap their kicks. I kick the Frigid Mists. There's another Icy Death coming out, and this is just what happens. The tank gets just destroyed from full health. And I rezzed him, but it's as the spikes are coming out, and he takes it and instantly dies to the spikes, so not the best. So we actually end up wiping. Yeah, that's just what happens when you overlap kicks on this boss. We didn't have a kick for the Icy Death. Tank probably didn't have any defensives up, and he just died from like 90% HP. The res thing was a little unfortunate. So, is what it is. Fortunately, we do have enough time left. You know, we have 3.5 minutes. I also have my ult going into this now, and weapon. So gonna send my stuff like normal. Send my weapon, and then send my ult. I think we do overlap our kicks there again, unfortunately, but if this is anything like last time, he'll spell Q himself out of everything, so yeah, he just spell Qs himself. And the tank can get his kick back up. Yeah, we're just getting our triple cooldown set going. So our frogs and our wildfire are about to come up again, and that'll be the third set this fight, and we're only like a minute in. I mean, the weapon with Visions of Grandeur and the reset is just insanely strong. I think our healer actually got rooted by the Affix while he was running from those, so luckily somebody in the group had a res. That could have been really bad. But now that the boss is below 50% health, we don't... Our damage is a lot lower because we're not getting, you know, a free 30% crit. So our next phase that we'll want to send damage on is when the boss is below 30% health, because then we're getting the haste bonus from our haste gems. The tank does tank in the Icy Death there, he barely lives. Nobody had their kick up though. I think here I could probably be better about making sure all my dots are up. Like, I didn't have Engulfing Flames up. There, so I probably shouldn't have been spending Detonate. Engulfing Flames is a significant portion of your damage, and it contributes a lot to Detonate just because it does so much damage. It's definitely your highest damage dot by far. I think I'm setting another Icy Death. I think I ended up overlapping my interrupt cooldown earlier, but fortunately the bot's slow enough, doesn't really matter too much. And we're able to take it out. 50k DPS in single target is definitely not bad. We even got a purple bar for our troubles, so yeah. Let me know if you guys like this form of video, I guess. It's not a live commentary like the last video was, but I feel like I can talk more about my rotation and everything. I don't know, this game is very fast-paced, and the dungeons don't last very long, so it's kind of hard to cover everything that's going on, and like every set of CVs and rotational things, and what all the enemies do. But it is easier to focus on it when I'm not actually in the dungeon, so yeah, let me know what you guys think about this form of video, and I will see you next time.